So for all the people that told me I must be jealous of Sadia fraudulent psychopath Khan, and I must wish I was her, and etc. I bet you'll eat your words shortly, because she's getting busted by quite a few people now. I know there are 5 women who are taking her to court for fraud. Other people are showing her up on Instagram. I knew it would all come out in the end. And just hear me with my silly little following, some of you trolls thought you could just presume that I must be jealous of her. Are you mad? Anyway, the little troll, because that's what she is being exposed, and I'm so here for it. Honestly, karma does exist, doesn't it? You know, you sometimes think, does it exist? Doesn't it? And then you always see that it does. Like, people who, what goes around comes around. And also, just logically, if you piss so many people off and you're just rude and nasty to so many people, word is going to get around. I can't believe how many people she does this to. It's not just like a few. I have so many messages from people saying, oh, she's done it to me, but please don't repost it because I'm scared she's going to post my address. Like, I've just been sent by somebody now, like a screen recording where she's literally saying, come on then, answer the phone. And it's like, oh my God. Sorry, that's my dog. Even my dog hates her. Oh my God. Sorry, I was doing a part 2 on this. Okay, so I said earlier I was going to post some of Sadia's insults to me on email. She doesn't know anything about my family. She just trolled all my family's socials, completely slandering me, just making things up. She started making stuff up about my boyfriend, saying that he's not allowed to see his children and all sorts of weird things that are untrue. Telling me I'm harassing her because I've exposed her online, writing a simple, straightforward Reddit post along with many other people. Trying to make me think there's something about my boyfriend she knows and that I don't. More and more insults. It's funny how she calls everyone grandma when the people she calls that are often younger than her. It's very odd. What a lovely human being she is. And this is how she spoke to me when I asked for her credentials. More slander. Just because I'm in a bad mood today. Why are all these people online going, I knew she was a fraud. Oh, I could see it first off. I've been waiting for this moment. Do you know the amount of people that when I exposed her commented on my videos saying you're just jealous of her? And then, I'm sorry, I know I've said this in so many of my videos and I'm repeating myself, but it's just like, it really makes me laugh the way people just don't want to be wrong about anything. They all act like they knew, but if so many people knew, why does she still have so many followers? The thing is, none of you are listening hard enough. This woman, people tell on themselves. Andrew Tate told on himself the whole way through. I spotted him a mile off as well. And, you know, he was always just telling on themselves. Sadia contradicted herself so many times in her videos. Also, do you know what's kind of sad? Is that it took a man to call her out for people to believe him. when me and Dr. Taylor Burrows called her out, we were just called jealous. Or I was certainly. But yeah, so I don't think a lot of people of you, if you did realise, because if you did, why were you following her? It doesn't make any sense to me. And also, as well, how could anyone really just? How could anyone really think that she was a real psychologist with giving all her personal opinions? Granted, many of you may not have had like mental health therapy or anything. I mean, I have OCD that I really struggle with, and so I've had a therapist for like 4 years. But psychologists don't bang on about their religion and go, yeah, I love being a Muslim because I don't drink and I don't do this and I'm so above everybody else, and all you Westerners are like, like shaming sex workers and all that kind of thing, which is so ironic because I've seen so many comments saying she's an escort, and it really, really would not surprise me because she knows way too much about escorting and sex work. Also, like, she projects so much of her stuff, which that means, based on the fact that she's told on herself, I reckon she's a porn addict. Hi everyone. So I've had a lot of messages like this asking me to start from the beginning, because I know it might be a little bit confusing, people who have maybe just new to my page and come on and seen a few screenshots here and there from Sadia's abuse and not really known how it started. Also, like, a couple of people have said, can we see your responses? And that's absolutely fine. Obviously, I screenshot her responses because I was so flabbergasted by what she had said, but I do have some of mine as well, because I screenshot hers because I was so shocked. I didn't really screenshot like necessarily the whole conversation. But yeah, first of all, I followed Sadia in 2023, like the end of the year, I think it was. I followed her on here. I liked a lot of what she had to say. I thought she articulated herself very well. And I really believe she was a psychologist. This is the problem. Like, I think we just go online and we think someone is who they say they are. So it's a big learning curve for me and a lot of people. But I very quickly realised she wasn't. And some of the things she said I've noticed were very generalised. And one of the first things I counterpointed her on was about, she said something about being bisexual. Corn is making people, it's the rise of bisexuality is created by corn. Now, I thought that was so generalised. I didn't know where she was getting that information from. She seems very obsessed with the subject of corn, very obsessed with it. It comes up in a lot of conversations. And I just thought, would a psychologist not be talking about mental health, like psychosis, or not just relationship stuff? So that was the first red flag for me. I commented and I said, I don't think that, I don't know what, I can't actually remember what I said, but I know 100% it was polite. If it wasn't, it would have been removed from TikTok. I'm a polite person, I didn't go into people's, I assumed it was a discussion. I didn't expect her to come onto my page and write, sluts are not welcome on my page. So I'm going to post that first bit of trolling, which was on my TikTok. Here we are. It says, not everybody is raised to be a slut, and so on. So after that, I think that's when I pushed for her credentials. I know there was another time I commented something on Instagram as well. And I think that was surrounding age gaps. She's very contradictory with things she says about age gaps and things. And she said something along the lines of, I think she said to one user that, yes, that she suggested to one user that she had she said that suggests neglect by your father, because she was saying she was 23, she was in a relationship with a guy in his 50s, her dad knew, she was happy, blah, 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 and Sadia took it upon herself to comment to that young woman, that suggests neglect by your father. Now, that is an extremely dangerous thing to say when she does not know anything about that person. She's not giving that person therapy. The woman is writing something positive, and Sadia is projecting her own stuff there and that was the second thing. And I actually messaged that girl and I said, please don't listen to her, because I thought, what if this girl was an overthinker? I mean, I'm an overthinker. What if she starts ruminating on that? It could really damage somebody. So that was one of the other things. She's very contradictory when she comes to age gaps. She says things along the lines of, like, a 19-year-old should never be in the vicinity of a man's thoughts. I mean, 19 is an adult. She can have her opinion, but it is just that, an opinion. But then in other interviews I've seen, she pretty much condones child marriage because a dowry is involved. Also, to put it bluntly, pretty much talks like an escort a lot of the time, the way she's kind of coaching women to what a high value man is. A lot of that seems to center around them having money and for how being maybe they're established. And the way it comes across is that she is all for transactional relationships, and a lot of that comes when men have money and women have youth. So it's all very contradictory. You can't quite see what she stands for. I've heard her say in one video that a 23-year-old, a man, something like a really wealthy man, would drink her bathwater. She has the world at her feet. So again, it's like very contradictory. It's like, well, on one hand, you're judging age gaps. The next minute, you're saying those are the women that have all the options and attract all men, etc., etc. So this was the comment on Instagram where she went underneath one of my, I would say, tasteful pictures of me. It's a silhouette of me in a bikini in Albania, outside, and it was daddy issues in a picture, was what she said to me. So she associates that picture as somebody who has daddy issues. And this was the picture, just in case you wanted to have a look and make sure it was okay. I mean, Instagram obviously thinks it's okay because it's still there. So obviously at this point I realised she's definitely like a bogus person here. This is not a real psychologist. And being completely honest, I emailed her through her website, and she didn't know who it was. Well, I thought she didn't know who it was. And I asked her if she was a psychologist. I wanted her to say yes because I wanted to report her to someone like the HCPC, which is, I think that's just British one, healthcare. I can't remember what it stands for, but then there's also the British School of Psychology. Now, the problem with this is you can't report somebody who is not a psychologist to those people, because if you are pretending to have be registered on a governing board, it's easier to report them. It was virtually impossible to report her anywhere because she's not pretending to be on any governing board, which is why I persisted in asking her which one, although I think she has one certificate. Dr. Taylor Burrows is much better at explaining the credential side of stuff than me. But if you look at her page, you will see all about the credentials, because she is a doctor, she knows about the credentials. But I know 100% because my own psychologist looked her up and said she is not a psychologist. So yeah, she works for the NHS. So I emailed her, asked for her credentials and prices. I asked her directly, was she a psychologist? Part 2 of this video coming up next. I've
think the rise in bisexuality in women is predominantly from exposure to porn.
So this woman has come onto my Instagram page and commented that I have daddy issues. She's commented on a very tasteful bikini shot I've done, a professional photo shoot that I was paid for, which is in a bikini, and she's commented daddy issues in a picture. It's not my fault your man wants me. This woman needs help. Like, she's mentally unwell, which is probably why she's claiming to be a coach or psychologist, because that's often what people struggling with mental health do. They go into mental health. But the point is, she's not qualified to help anyone. So her damaging advice is actually fraudulent. Dr. Burrows is an amazing doctor that you should follow, and is somebody who's actually a doctor. So if you went to a doctor and you said, my arm hurts, and then they told you that you have, I don't know, arthritis, and then you later found out you didn't, and the doctor you saw was not a doctor, you'd have a problem with it, right? So why should it be any different if somebody on TikTok or Instagram claims to be something they're not? I can't believe that people just mindlessly follow somebody so uneducated, and just because she speaks with confidence and calls herself a psychologist, you actually believe it. The problem is now she's actually being investigated. So yeah, really can't wait to see how that comes out.
If you break up and then all of a sudden you're posting memes and all of a sudden you've got a degree in narcissism and all of a sudden you're a life coach helping people, trauma victims of narcissists, you've never been with one. The ones that have been with a man that they've spent years, and I've met women in this position, and men, but particularly women, I've met women in this position, even with their own mothers, they have spent their life defending their partner. They have lost all their friends and family defending their partner. They've lost money defending their partner. That partner leaves them. They spend the next couple of years trying to get them back. That person cheats, leaves, abuses, blah, blah. They spend the rest of their life still sending money, still attaching to them, still never talking negatively about them, still having a shrine to them in their own home and in their own heart. And that's a true definition of somebody who's been with a narcissist. But if you break up and then all of a sudden you're posting memes and all of a sudden you've got a degree in narcissism and all of a sudden you're a life coach helping people, trauma victims of narcissists, you've never been with one. Or not a good one anyway, because you've obviously woken up at some stage. The real thing is, look at the people around them. Do they live a life that is based on being obedient to this narcissist and trying to seek their approval? Or do the people around them thrive and do better and better and become autonomous individuals who have their own brain, have their own thoughts, and thrive in their lives? If they've got thriving people around them, impossible to be a narcissist. But if they've got people clutched like in the palm of their hands, chances are they're a narcissist. What it really is how are the people close to you achieving that closeness? Do you only let them close to you when they obey you, submit to you, and follow your instructions? Or do you allow them to be close to you but still be autonomous human beings? That's how I decide someone's a narcissist. So the longevity will just depend on your why. The getting married, everyone can do because they're married, they're in love or whatever it is. Longevity will depend on your why. And the real reason why marriages last is a lot less romantic than what people think it is. It's a lot to do with don't like change, don't want to start again, don't have alternatives, have a real lack of alternatives. That's usually the core behind a lot of marriages that do last. But people like to think it's love, but it's actually more practical than that.
Right.
And I think,
or maybe fear of splitting up.
Fear of splitting up, fear of starting again, fear of not having anybody else in your life. Just there's a lot of fear that goes involved with it. So just knowing the why behind it will give you a more practical approach to the longevity of your marriage.
But for those who are actually stuck in a truly toxic relationship and they think there's no safe way to end things, How do you break free from a toxic relationship?
I would sit with somebody you trust and outline the exact relationship from beginning to end, what's going on. And if, as you're explaining that relationship, you start to think, oh God, I'm being a bit unreasonable, she's actually a good girl, or he's actually a nice, but what am I doing? Like, I should be grateful. You're probably not in a toxic relationship. But if, as you're saying it, you're starting to feel embarrassed, you're starting to cover up, you're starting to feel like, what am I doing? Take that as your wake-up call. So that's the first step. Second step, I would say, is that you have to realize that you need at least a couple of deal breakers with everybody in your life. And with this person, you might be in a toxic relationship, but you can't pinpoint what exactly they've done. Better thing to do is don't worry about them changing. Ask yourself, do you have any deal breakers? Do you have one or two deal breakers that they keep doing? If they do these deal breakers, I can't expect them to change. I just have to reduce my attachment. Reduce your attachment to deal breakers. Anytime they do deal breakers, if it's not a deal breaker, try and make it work. If there's deal breakers going on, reduce your attachment. And the final thing that you need to do is ask yourself, if they stayed exactly the same and never changed, would you be okay? If the answer is, if they stayed exactly the same and never changed, it's not ideal, but it's okay. I can make it work. But if the answer is, oh my God, I'd be terrified if they stayed exactly the same, or I'd be terrified to have kids with him if he stayed exactly the same, that's another wake-up call. So use those things to navigate whether this is good for you or not, and then slowly start to exit. And how you start to exit, the actual execution of that, is you can't exit straight away. The only thing you can do is reduce your investment. So if normally you would be available all day, every day to see them, do everything for them, pay for everything for them, you slowly start to reduce your investment. It's not that you just cut them off cold turkey, because you probably won't be able to do that. Slowly reduce your investment to that person. Whatever it is that you're investing a lot into, that's what's keeping you there. That's actually the drug that's keeping you there. Reduce your investment slowly, 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 and within 6 months, you will naturally feel that detachment.
And what's your advice on how a woman should avoid being clingy? If there's even a way.
Well, here's the thing. Being clingy is very normal. I'm clingy as hell. Are you clingy?
I can be.
I'm crazy clingy. I could live in your skin. It's no bother to me. It's no bother to me at all. It's super clingy. But the reality is, here's how to navigate clingy people.
And what's your advice on how a woman should avoid being
But the female equivalent to black men in dating is Latin and Russian women. Why? Because they're fantastic at sex. And that's why they are, if your man treats them bad, doesn't pay her bills, isn't treating her right, bye. They fall in love with what a man can offer her rather than him. Because they don't attach any commitment to him. Like, if you're going to treat me badly, you're not going to pay my bills, you're not going to look after me, bye. Bye, bye, bye. Because they also have that sexual hierarchy. They're at the top of that.
Wow.
And I don't think people realize how much being sexually desired puts you in a completely different dating pool to everybody else. So Russian and Latin women behave similar to black men.
Right.
You don't act right, bye. You're going to cheat on me, I'll cheat on you with your dad and your brother. What are you going to do about it? When you're a nice guy and a people pleaser, you'll find that you actually don't have as many friends, even though you don't fight with anyone. And people aren't calling you that much, and you don't get invited to places, and you're actually quite lonely. And you're almost wondering, why am I lonely? I'm so nice to everybody. I don't disrespect anybody. I'm not rude to anybody. I'm always nice. I always turn up for everybody else. Nobody turns up for me. Why is that? The reason being is because you're not authentic. When you're being a people pleaser and you're being too nice, people don't attach to you because you don't give them the ingredients or the insight into your true personality. You're simply nodding and smiling. So what happens is you don't leave your mark on people. People don't remember you. people don't feel connected to you. But when you're simply a nice person, you're simply a people pleaser, you become forgettable. People disconnect from you. They don't know you and don't recognize you. And as a result, they pull away from you. So if you are a nice guy, you'll find yourself, or even a nice girl and a people pleaser, you'll find yourself socially isolated, and then you'll become more and more miserable. You're a nice guy and a people pleaser.
One thing they did say, which was interesting, and I don't really understand, you said you need the right level of conflict to maintain sexual attraction.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because I am a type of person that generally doesn't like conflict.
Yeah, you do. I honestly, in general, passive and people-pleasing kind of relationships, they lose all their spark. And the reason why people-pleasing in general, conflict avoidance and people-pleasing are not necessarily the same thing. Conflict might run away from it, but people pleasing really kind of sucks out the joy of sexual intimacy. And the reason being is part of the joy of intimacy should be learning what arouses each other. That should be the part of the intimacy that's the best part, is seeing what impact you're having on your partner. That's most people's why they enjoy the intimacy, is seeing how their body or who they are has an impact on the person that they're with. That's actually what creates chemistry. But when you are a people pleaser, you can't trust the person's feedback. You don't even know what they like or don't like. And also one thing with people pleasers or people who avoid conflict or don't want to give conflict, they don't give feedback, and they're too focused on, are you okay? They're not teaching their partner what turns them on or what makes them feel aroused or what makes them feel attractive. So the relationship or that intimacy loses its spark.
I think they did say.
Whereas the guy that pretends will almost become like a sister to me. The guy that pretends he's not interested, pretends he doesn't find me attractive, pretends. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'm going to start talking to you about guys that I'm attracted to, or I'll talk to you and I'll treat you like a sister. Why do you want that? Tell the truth. And if your truth is we're just friends, that's your truth, make that clear as well. Just tell the truth about your intentions. Whereas a guy that how a relationship pans out is entirely in a man's hands. Now, the problem with it in modern men is their protective jealousy and their protective instincts has been beaten out of them. What's happened is we replace the desire to protect women, we replace that with the desire to lust after women and the desire to conquer women and just kind of sleep with them. There's no desire to protect and provide and be responsible for women anymore. They just want to lust and lust and lust. And so what we've done is hijacked their masculinity and replaced it with lust and desire. So when you enter a relationship as a man and you forget your role is to be protective and really monitor how she's doing, if she's well, if she's not well, if she's behaving well inside and outside of the house, you forget that's part of your role. And you're not emotionally regulated. Women are going to be emotional. Our hormones are all over the place. We get pregnant, we have a period, so on and so forth. You as a man need to be somewhat more emotionally regulated. We know we're going to come dysregulated. So if you are dysregulated and you're not protective and you lose all of those traits that keeps a home, the relationship is doomed. How a relationship... I probably will never have... Another factor that determines whether or not women will find you attractive or unattractive is the choices you make in life. Now, one thing that women monitor without you realizing is what you choose to do. Now, if you choose to watch a lot of pornography, choose to play a lot of video games, choose to pay for sex, choose to go and sleep around a lot, we're looking at your choices and we are deciding whether or not you are valuable or you are chaotic. Whereas if you naturally make good choices, we don't have to kind of scold you, we don't have to mold you, we don't have to tell you too much. You naturally make the right choices, you will become more attractive to a woman. So what you want to do is live a life where if a woman was to enter it tomorrow, she wouldn't need to tell you too much. She wouldn't need you to adapt too much in order for you to be a good husband or to be a good father. You naturally live a life that is effective. Another factor. Miss those ingredients, unfortunately, at some stage you'll realize that the relationship is not quite working. And doesn't mean you become extra fussy. It just means you pay attention to this and you figure out which of those is missing and try and work on that. Maybe the adoration is missing. Try and work on that. Maybe the attraction is missing. There's nothing wrong with telling your partner, babe, I would love it if we start working out together. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But if we miss those things and then we ignore the resolution, unfortunately, our relationships will suffer. Miss those. Well, but the reality is, even if you're Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever it is, you have to choose a woman who's very promiscuous for her to be okay with one night stands. So what's happening is you're now getting used to women who are calling their boyfriend saying, babe, I'll be home in 10 minutes while she's in your bed. You are getting used to women who are like sleeping with you and then going off to sleep with your friend the next day. You are getting used to women who don't even reply and don't care if you have see them again or not. You are getting used to such low quality of women that when you meet a girl who's also low quality, but she's slightly above the usual promiscuous hoe that you're used to, you start glorifying her and thinking she's amazing because your comparison level has dropped so low. But the reality is, but why isn't depriving intimacy villainous behavior? Now, everywhere else in the world, they think men are men. They realize that men have this testosterone that if you don't sleep with them, they're going to go somewhere. That's an unwritten rule around the world. It's only in America where they think that we're not going to sleep with you, we're not going to cook for you, we're not going to clean for you, but you better be loyal to us because if you're not, we're going to humiliate you and defame you everywhere we go. That's unheard of in the rest of the world. They just think loyalty is a byproduct of a good relationship, whereas in the West, it's loyalty first, and how I treat you is irrelevant. And if you're not loyal, I'm going to humiliate you and defame you, but I can treat you badly in so many other ways. So I think that's the key difference that I find is everywhere else understands if you don't have a connection with your partner, men or women, if you deprive them of that, they're going to go somewhere. But why isn't Are you one of those men who's really worked on yourself and are really emotionally intelligent, and yet women are still rejecting you? Why is that? Very simple. Despite what you might hear online and despite what women are telling you, they actually don't care if you're emotionally intelligent. What they really want to know is, what are you going to do about it? Yes, you might understand her traumas. Yes, you might understand her abandonment wounds. Yes, you might understand everything there is to know about psychology. But what women are looking for is, how are you going to fix it? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to resolve the problems? If you can't, then simply holding her hand and understanding all her trauma will make you her best friend rather than her boyfriend, and she will lose attraction. Are you one of those men who's... I won't understand people who are overweight and are terrified, and I mean like terrified to take a weight loss drug or an Ozempic or Manjaro. They're like, oh, there's too many side effects. There's too many side effects. Do you not think that there's side effects to being overweight? Do you not think those are worse side effects? Why wouldn't you think to yourself, let me just lose the weight and then get healthy? But right now, whatever you're doing is not working. I won't understand people who are Women are not attracted to submissive men. They're not attracted to obedient men. They can use them really well. They can use them because maybe they think, oh, at least he won't cheat on me, so I'll just pick him. Or at least he won't be in the club every night, I'll just pick him. Or at least he doesn't get a lot of girls, he won't cheat on me. But they won't necessarily be hyper attracted to this man. And as a result, they don't ignite that desire in women. So they have a naivety about women. They start to think women are just non-sexual. Women won't have affairs. Women don't like that. They're not affectionate. So what that leads to is they allow their woman to kind of do whatever she wants, because in their mind, they think she would never have an affair. She doesn't even like sleeping with me. She doesn't like kisses. She doesn't like all of that thing. They don't realize they make her not like that. They make her, maybe with you, she might not like sex, or maybe with you, she might not like intimacy, but she's still an intimate person. Another factor that determines
was in New York, I met this crackhead that came over to me and he was just trying to make conversation. And he was like, I just got out of jail and blah, blah. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Tell me, how was it? And he's like, I just hate Muslims since I came out of jail. And I was like, why? Why do you hate them? I didn't tell him I was Muslim. And he's like, because nobody rapes them. Literally nobody will rape them. They all get together, don't matter if they're black, white, Hispanic. Once they're Muslim, they make one brotherhood, like one gang, and nobody can touch them. Absolutely everybody respects the fact that they're Muslim. Nobody will try and rape them, whereas the rest of us get raped every single day. I felt proud. I was in New York.
Choose the girl that chooses you, because then she's not resenting you for having to compromise. You don't choose a woman that's chaotic and got too much chaos going on. You choose someone who also likes peace. But secondly, you also create peace in your home by acting in a way that's kind, considerate, respectful, loyal. Peace is an inevitable outcome. When you treat women well, they become better human beings. When you see that broken woman that's horrible, horrendous, cruel, cheating, there's a man that's maybe her father, and what happens when men don't treat women well? We create a society of soulless women. We create a bunch of women who are just egotistical, narcissistic, they are hyper-independent, they lose their kindness.
My genuine advice when it comes to getting married is only get married if you're one of those people who is loyal regardless of whether or not you like your husband or wife. Like, even if you hate them, you're still monogamous and you're still loyal. Marriage should be reserved for people who are naturally monogamous. If you're one of those people who is like, yeah, but towards the end I was unfaithful because, or towards the end of that relationship I was unfaithful because, marriage isn't for you. Because as things get rough, you get disloyal. No problem with that. But then why would you want to get married? It's not for you. Marriage requires you to fight that urge to become disloyal and stay monogamous regardless. That's what marriage is.